Fast and Furious 11 will bring the franchise full circle by bringing back a fan-favorite character. The long-awaited sequel will continue the story after Fast X's cliffhanger ending for Dom Toretto and his son, Little B, whose fates were left ambiguous after Dante Reyes detonated explosives. Fast X's ending also featured the return of Giselle Yashar. At Fuel Fest in Los Angeles, Vin Diesel took to the stage to reveal big Fast 11 details. He started stating an April 2027 release date, saying he and Universal agreed to make the next movie the finale on 3 conditions. The first and second were bringing the series back to its roots in Los Angeles and to street racing. The third, which Diesel milked for the crowd, was that Brian O'Connor, played in 6 earlier movies by the late Paul Walker, will be making a proper return in the film. He provided no details on how Brian, who left the series in Furious 7 after Walker's death, will return. Check out his comments below. The studio said to me, "Vin, can we please have the finale of Fast and Furious April 2027? I said under 3 conditions. The first is to bring the franchise back to LA. The second thing was to return to the car culture, to the street racing. The third thing was reuniting Dom and Brian O'Connor. That is what you're going to get in the finale." The return of Brian O'Connor, along with a return to street racing in Los Angeles, means that the franchise is headed back to its roots, although it is currently unclear how Brian will be brought back for Fast and Furious 11. Due to Walker's passing, some of Brian's scenes in Furious 7 were created through a combination of visual effects and stand-ins, which included Walker's brothers Caleb and Cody. The April 2027 release window has still not been officially announced, but Diesel seems confident in the update that he shares with fans. If the sequel does release in April 2027, it will debut almost 4 years after the previous movie, since Fast X came to theaters in May 2023. Returning to Los Angeles is another extension of how the sequel will be more aligned with the franchise's earlier movies. Los Angeles was the original home of the series, and many of the movies have been filmed there as well. It is a great sign for the film industry there, especially in the wake of the devastating fires early in 2025, and as many other projects opt to film overseas. The full-circle nature of the sequel is further cemented by the return to street racing. Over time, the Fast and Furious movies have raised the stakes and made the plots increasingly over the top. Street racing in Los Angeles gets back to the series' original premise, which will inevitably make it feel very different from Fast X and the other more recent sequels. As exciting as Brian's return, it is currently unknown how extensive the role will be, but regardless, it needs to be handled carefully. For Furious 7, Walker had already shot scenes, so it was a matter of honoring what he had already done and completing the work with visual effects and stand-ins. Walker's portrayal of Brian is iconic, but I would rather the role be recast, potentially with one of his brothers. Other movies and shows have used AI to portray actors who have passed away or younger versions of their characters, but the final result is often uncanny. Returning to Los Angeles and focusing more on street racing again is a less complicated and purely exciting update. The April 2027 release window means that there will still be a long wait for Fast and Furious 11, but it may end up being the franchise's best sequel in years.